sights to show you.
Hell yeah.
Can anyone tell me what that last part is from? What movie it's from? Hell yeah. I will give you a hint. It's Italian. Welcome to the Horror Syndicate Discourse. This is Sunday night, 8 and this is where you should be. Tonight we were going to dig into Seth's movies that made him, but we can't do that tonight. We will do it another night. Instead, we're going to do an open Q&A where you guys can ask us questions. We'll answer. We've got a few questions of our own that you can also answer along and play along with us. I asked earlier on the Facebook page, what are some movies you think everyone should watch but may have missed? And the first one was Monster Squad. Raise your hand if you've not seen the Monster Squad. And then kindly show yourself out. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. Don't leave. Anybody here, if you haven't liked the page, like the post, all that good stuff, please do. And don't forget to check out Bone Tomahawk. It's a good one. So we're gonna have Nate and Seth in here, and we're gonna dish and talk about some horror. And we'll get back to normal topics next week. So Nate is here. Nate, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Not seen what? Monster Squad?
You've not seen it.
Oh man. Nate mentioned something about what was it? Well, The Ward was on John Carpenter's The Ward. That's one I've not seen, but apparently, according to Martin Headbanger Steger, it's one that everybody should check out. So I'll have to check that out, and we'll get Seth's opinion as well. What do you think about that one?
The Ward?
The Ward, yeah. John Carpenter's The Ward. Remember?
Yeah,
Seth's watching.
John Carpenter. He gets a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was nearly as bad as its reputation. When I first watched it, I mean, it's not his best, and it's not one of the best films of his time. But overall, I liked it. I watched it again. I still liked it. Again, it's a C movie. It's C plus maybe. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not great. It's worth watching.
It's mid.
And if you're a John Carpenter, I mean, if you're a John Carpenter fan, you gotta go watch it.
Right. Don't forget to like this video, please. Everybody who comes in and says hello, we will say hello back.
And ask questions. It's all about questions.
Yes, all about questions. If you have a burning question, ask the question, and we will talk about it in length. Seth, how you doing? What do you think of John Carpenter's The Ward?
So The Ward it's like near the bottom of my Carpenter ranking list. But it's not like it's awful. It's just like especially when it gets to the twist of it, like what the story is actually about.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him done better in another movie. I don't want to name that movie because I don't want to ruin it for people.
Oh.
But it's like one of those where it's like, it doesn't really feel like a Carpenter film. Like it feels like it's like one of those films that he's taken, like a paycheck. And I think it's a little unfortunate that it's his last film, but it's not awful. It does have Amber Turd in it, and she's fine in it. I mean, overall, what it is, it's not awful, but it's just like what it ends up being. I've seen better in another film from the early 2000s.
Gotcha. You don't have to tell me what that movie is off air. Sean says, I hear The Ward is fairly bad. The only one of his I have seen I hate is The Memoirs of the Invisible Man. I like that movie.
That was fun, but it's not what people probably expect from him.
It's been a long time since I watched that one, but I remember really liking it because it was one of those that came on cable quite a bit back when it came out. And of course, I had no idea it was John Carpenter until I started the Horror Syndicate. So
that's
Joe
another
Shelton,
one that.
Go ahead.
That's another one that he, did for work.
Okay.
Took a paycheck.
Yeah, he likes getting paid.
He was hired for certain projects, and then when some of the films, when some of his films failed, then he was fired from certain projects, and unfortunately, because of that movie, he never got to make his Creature from the Black Lagoon movie, which is a huge shame.
I didn't know that was a thing. That would have been cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I
Rick
like
Baker was
that
do the
movie.
effects for it.
Who? Rick Baker?
Yeah.
Wow, that could have been cool. All right. So we'll do what we'll do is we'll hit the like button, we'll hit the subscribe button, and then we'll go ahead and ask some questions. I know Seth put some questions on Nate's page earlier tonight. And what is one of those questions, Seth? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest with you, like when I put that up, I wasn't going to be on the show tonight because of how things went this weekend, and so I was just trying to help you guys out with certain things. But basically, there's a lot of the basic questions of out of the entire, say, Evil Dead franchise, what is your number one favorite scene? And I went through multiple different franchises. And then I think my last question is, why is Midsummer just the Wicker Man? But that's for Nate.
I'll make a video about it.
Yeah, he'll make a video 3 years ago, and we'll put it up on the YouTube.
I like this idea of favorite scenes in the franchise.
Why don't we go through the big franchises and do that?
Yeah, I like to go with all the ones he presented if I can. I know he's probably like, what is your favorite scene from the Leprechaun franchise? I'm like, fuck if I know.
Obviously, the breast pump.
The breast pump. Okay. All right. Evil Dead.
Want to start with Evil Dead?
Yeah. What's your favorite scene?
What's your favorite scene from the Evil Dead franchise?
I think my favorite scene out of the entire franchise of Evil Dead is the scene from Evil Dead 2 with Ash going insane pretty much with the deer head turning and laughing. And I don't know, there's something about that scene that's like, it's very special to me because like I saw that scene and it made me laugh, but it's also like it's kind of like it's not like a funny slapstick laugh. It's sort of like this character is really going insane because of this evil and all this like weird shit's happening. And I don't know, that's just like a very memorable scene for me. Like that's out of the entire, like if I ever had like some sort of like memory issue later in life, I think I would still remember that scene from Evil Dead 2.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. What about you, Nate? I'll go last.
He picked mine, so that's mine. Yeah, that's easily mine, but I'll throw another one out, and it's from Evil Dead 2 because I think Evil Dead 2 is the best one. It's the scene. It's kind of tied to it. It's the scene where his hand goes all crazy and he cuts it off in the kitchen where it's attacking him. He's beating himself up and it flips him up, and it knocks him out and he's crawling across the floor to get the gun, or get the cleaver. I just thought that was incredible. That's some of the first stuff I ever saw. I saw that like clips, like I don't know if does that play in like. I don't know what it plays in, but it seems like I saw that clip before I saw the movie of him doing that scene in the kitchen, beating himself up and fighting his hand. And I thought, what in the hell is that? Like, I didn't know what Evil did. And it's still incredible. And that they were talking about how Bruce Campbell was like, it looks like it's been sped up or it's reversed. And they said, because Bruce Campbell can act in reverse better than anybody in the world can. So when he's doing all this stuff, it's like it's really him doing it. I guess I would go with that.
And remember, anybody watching, if you have the answer to this question, what is your favorite scene from the Evil Dead franchise? Please answer it below. And we got a question from a follower, so we'll go to that after I answer mine. And I love 2013's Evil Dead, and everything during the scene where Mia is the raining blood and all that, but when she drills that chainsaw right in that the what is it, what do they call it? Yeah, whatever it is.
Deadite.
I love that part of the movie. That is my favorite, like one of my favorite things ever in a horror movie. Just seeing her just drive it into the skull of that, impurity or whatever they call it. Something I can't remember what it's called.
I almost picked that one too.
I love that.
It
It's
jumped in my
so
head. It's just
cool.
great. Just the whole scene of her like getting
Yeah.
the car dropped on her hand and having to rip her hand off.
Yeah, everything. Well, even the chase when she's stuck between the walls and they're putting the knife in there. You see the knife dig into her leg. Like, I don't understand what people's problem is with Evil Dead. I think it is because it's not Ash's Evil Dead. You know what I mean? It's serious. It's horror. It's balls of the wall horror. I mean, it's one of the most horrific movies I've seen a long time as far as blood, guts, gore. I mean, at the beginning, the girl gets lit on fire, and that's a great scene too, in my opinion. I'll swallow your soul, Daddy. I love that. God, I love that movie.
Jane gives one of the best performances
She
in
does.
horror.
Yeah.
That's a beautifully shot scene too. The one that you're talking about, Ray. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I love everything about the Fede Alvarez film. I think it's a great horror film in general.
Agreed.
I've said it before. I walked out of the theater going, if the horror fans don't love this, there's something fucking wrong with them.
I know.
Everything.
Exactly. And I looked at my brother. I was like, that's a fucking horror movie right there. It was. It had everything I could ask for. Even made me feel nauseous at the beginning with the camera upside down and turning. Made me feel a little nauseous. What horror movie are you most looking forward to for the rest of 2024? I have no clue.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
I would say Saw 11 for sure, because I'm a huge Saw fan.
Right.
And also Abigail. I think that looks really fun.
That looks good.
See, I'm not up on what's coming out this year, so I don't have an answer. I'll go with Nosferatu or Saw 11. Easy.
Is Maxine coming out this year?
Yes. Who knows? Because I really want
with
to
the
see
whole
that
controversy. With the,
It we thought it was going to come out last year. It didn't. Now there's this controversy, so hopefully we'll get to see it come out in the next year or two. How many foreign films have you all seen? I've seen 4. That's it. I've seen probably upwards of 50-ish, maybe more, because most of them are Italian. A few J horror movies, a couple Spanish, a couple French. Seth, what about you? I know Nate's seen the most.
Well, I have a question for Sean, though, because he's from, I think.
Good question.
He's from Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So, America, is that foreign films too?
It would be for him. That's a good point.
Foreign language.
I can't count how many that I've seen. I've seen, quite a few, like Train to Busan. I'm a huge fan of actually the Rec films. I've seen quite a few. I haven't kept track of how many. Maybe
I should now that I think about it, because I forgot about Train to Busan and Rec. I've only seen the first Rec, but yeah, that's a good question. Nate, what about you? How many ballpark out of your 9,000 films you've seen?
Foreign films in general or horror? Because
let's just stick with horror.
Stick with horror. I mean, God, at least 100. Probably
more. I feel like it'd be more than that with you.
But foreign films, I've probably seen, 500, 700, something around there, but maybe even more. But
Terrifier 3 comes out this year as well. I have a little interest in that one myself.
Let me look it up. What's coming out this year?
Just for pure slapstick, the Gulliver's Travel scene in Army of Darkness is Vaughn's favorite. Yeah, I like, that's one I don't know much as far as, I don't know why. I like the weird thing about horror in the last few years, especially, and Seth and Nate can both attest to this. You'll have your big Smile 2's out this year, I know that, but you'll have your bigger name horror movies, and there'll be like 10 to 12 of those, but then there'll be like 20, 30, 40 films that show up on Hulu or Shudder or Prime that you won't even know about. Like how many movies did we see on Shudder? Like When Evil Lurks, or Where Evil Lurks, like that one popped up out of nowhere. I had no clue that was coming. I mean, movies like that, or The Sadness a couple years ago. Mandy popped up without me even knowing about it either. I didn't care, but
Quiet
There's a
Place
new-
prequel looks
yeah,
good.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Quiet Place for day one or whatever.
There's a new werewolf movie coming out sometime this year called Blackout.
Will it be 100 for you?
Probably. I have to get back into the werewolf stuff. It's been a while, actually. Surprisingly.
Oh, shout out to my buddy, the former Dead Dick Hammer, Michael. Him and his son, who's probably 3, maybe 4. I'm not sure how old he is, but they have a new band.
Oh,
and the son, the little boy, named them. They're called Dumbass Werewolf.
nice.
And they had a song called Chicken Butt. They sent me today.
I like that.
Dumbass Werewolf.
Okay, so I didn't see your list, unfortunately, but the next one we'll go with, if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
For what is your favorite scene from the Friday the 13th franchise? How about that? I don't know if you put that on there or not, but
He did. He put them
Yeah,
on.
that was one.
okay. So I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
My favorite scene, believe it or not, is not in my favorite movie. It's actually, I guess it could be a couple of scenes, but I really love the scene, and I'm not even joking. And the first movie is not my favorite by far, but I love Betsy Palmer's performance, and it always gives me goosebumps. And I always think, like, when Killer Mommy, when she's chasing Alice, and some of the fighting parts aren't great, but Betsy Palmer, when she's telling that, like, monologuing, I fucking love that. There's so many kills and so many great iconic kills and such, but that scene is like really like so good. And Alice is just like, what the fuck? She doesn't know what. I just love that scene. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole franchise, to be honest. Probably one of my least favorite movies too. When do you guys go?
I've never even thought about what my favorite Friday the 13th scene is. I mean, it's not my favorite movie too, but fucking Kane Hodder, his arrival as Jason in that makeup, like coming out of the water, was just so like, whoa, this is cool. But that's not like the best scene in the movie though. I mean, I think his face off with Tina is pretty cool.
Yeah,
we had never seen anything like that. I thought, I thought that was pretty sweet. And it's funny, that year we had that. We had, if you could look at what's her name in the movie? What is her name? Forget her name. Tina and versus Freddy, or not Tina versus Jason, but you also had Alice versus Freddy, like we watched last year. So you had these two like mono standoff things between the heroine and the villain.
Both met their match
same year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess my favorite kill, and maybe it's my favorite scene, is that I think that's my favorite. The girl on the bike and just the shadow, like when you see the shadow stab her. That's not really. That's not a scene though.
That's on part 4, right?
Yeah, part 4.
Yeah, between one of the twins.
I have to think about scene. Go ahead, go back.
Yeah, scenes are tough because like my brain went straight to kills, but then I was like, but that scene with Betsy Palmer really had an effect.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. What about you, Seth?
Oh, for me, it's easily from part 4.
Of course.
My favorite film in the franchise. But it's the scene where Jason is coming up on Trish, and she has her back to him.
Yes.
And then she has the machete, and she spins around, and like she just barely misses him. I just love that whole scene.
Oh, I know what it is now. Oh, my favorite scene is. It's part 7. It's the shed scene where he's chasing the girl in the shed.
Oh yeah,
he's crawling in and he's looking for the weapons and all that. I always thought that was creepy. It was scary because she can't go anywhere. She's stuck.
Yeah,
and she's like looking through the slats and trying to see where he's at. And he looks right at her. I remember it was terrifying the first time I saw it. And I just love.
That's a good horror scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great horror scene. It's just his paced right. It takes his time. It's like you can't see. You're with her. You don't know where Jason is. You know he's on the other side. You can hear him. You know he's in there, but you never know when it's coming. It's almost kind of similar to like the rest stop scene in H2O or in the 2018 film.
You got part 7 on the brain today, huh?
Well, that was what I watched the most, I think, when I was younger, and because I didn't get into them till that one came out, and I just fucking loved Kane Hodder's look in that movie and his performance.
Yeah,
it was just like, whoa, this guy's scary. To me, that was the scariest Jason that I personally. I didn't like him in the other movie. I mean, I didn't care for the other movies, but Part 7 and his Jason and that. I get what Beekler was saying when he said they couldn't have had him fight Freddy because Kane Hodder's Jason would beat the shit out of Robert Englund. So
right.
Because Kane's Jason is just a fucking semi truck. it's just a force the way he performed it.
Hold on, I got another one related to Friday the 13th while we're here.
Okay.
Just because this one comes up a lot. Oh, God, I can't spell. I don't want anybody making fun of me now. All right. Who does your favorite portrayal of Jason? You got Ted White, C.J. Graham, Kane Hodder, Derek Mears, what's his name? Richard Brooker, Warrington Gillette, Steve Dash, the guy from the first movie with the weird mustache and the curly hair. I can't think of his name. Ari Lehman, maybe? And I'm missing somebody. Ken Kersinger. Mine will forever be
Derek Mears.
I said Derek Mears. I did. I made sure to say Derek Mears. Yes,
Okay,
Derek Mears was good. Yes, he was good. Mine's C.J. Graham, but Ted White was one of the most ferocious Jasons. He was like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. The ferocity.
It's so tough because I love what Steve Dash did with it. I love Ted White's. I love C.J. Graham's. I love Kane's. I love Derek's. Those are my favorites. I guess I'd have to go with Kane in 7 again. Just that Mack truck, that behemoth, the makeup definitely helped. But I can't take away. Like I love Ted White's. I love the humanity in Steve Dash's. And I like. I think Derek kind of took a bit of a lot of what was good about Derek Mears. Almost feels like if you took CJ and Ted and Kane and popped them into one guy in some ways, because I guess he's such a fan. But I really like that. I really like his speed and his viciousness and his, that may be one of my favorite shots in the whole Friday the 13th chat is when he's coming after that girl in the very beginning. In the opening,
he's like winding up the hitter.
Yeah, like winding up with the hit. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I saw that, I was like, "Whoa!" Like that's badass. And I think that's what it cuts to the opening title, doesn't it? Like after he does that. Yeah, I love that shot. I think it's in that moment. It's like that. That was interesting.
Derek Mears is underrated, I think.
Very.
Seth, we know it's already Ted White.
Ted White, man. Ted White, I think, is the most intimidating Jason. I think his body language is fucking awesome. Like he's like one of the great things I love about Part 4 is Ted White's performance as Jason. I think he totally sells it. He's like, because as I've said before, there's a progression of Jason from 2, 3, and 4 with the character getting more and more aggressive and more sort of like confident in what he does as he goes along. And so by the time you get to Part 4, he's just mean. He's a killing machine. And I think Ted White, just his body language alone, totally sells it for me. I think he's easily, in my opinion, the most intimidating and I totally agree with Derek with your assessment of Derek Mears being, a combination of like Ted White and C.J. Graham
Yeah.
and all that. Like, I love Derek Mears as well. I think he's awesome as well.
We should have got another one with him.
Maybe he'll get another shot. Maybe if we get another Jason Friday 13th movie, maybe he'll get another shot because he's perfect for that part, size wise, alopecia wise. So we got another question from Dan Mack. What's your favorite Italian horror or giallo film? Easy for me. I can name one of each. So giallo. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a giallo, but it's Argento, and he mostly did giallo. It would be in Inferno. If that doesn't count for a giallo, I'll go with All the Colors of the Dark with Edward Finnick. My favorite Italian, The Beyond by Lucio Fulci. Either one of you can go next.
If I was to go giallo, I'd probably go with because I haven't seen a lot, admittedly. Like I'm still kind of catching up. Probably Profondo Rosso for giallo,
Yes.
and
Cool.
my favorite Italian horror film is Demons, hands down.
Demone. Yes, that's a good one.
I love Demons.
I have a feeling I can guess where you might go, Nate, but I'm curious to see what you got.
I might go with Deep Red.
Mm-hmm. Not Delamorte Delamore. Cemetery Man, if you will.
Yeah, I do like that one more. Do we count Last Man on Earth because it was an Italian film, if I remember right?
I mean, we could, but my brain doesn't go there exactly. Tenebra is a good one. So is Deep Red. Deep Red's great. People say when they think of Argento, of course, they go to Suspiria, but Deep Red is his best movie. I'm telling you, it is definitely his best film.
And then there's Bava too, like Black Sunday and all that would be cool.
Yeah, there's a couple Mario Babas that are kind of probably underseen. Lisa and the Devil is weird and good. There's Twitch of the Death Nerve, of course, otherwise known as Bay of Blood. But one of my favorites is called it's called Shock or Beyond the Door 2, I think, because Italian movies, they've got like 1,000 titles.
Well, I like that one we did that we hadn't seen.
Your Room is a
Locked.
Yeah. Edward
Your Room is a locked door, and I have the key. Or
Your Vice is a locked room, and only I have the key.
Such a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Really
we need to do another giallo. We need to do another one. Yeah. What do you got? Are you guys down for it?
Sure.
Okay. I'll pick this time. I'm going to pick this time.
Okay.
Because there's some weird ones. Okay. The Red Queen kills 7 times, maybe. That's a weird one. Good question. I like that question.
Yeah, thanks for the questions, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are have a question, please throw it in the comments. We will, and you answer as well. Anything we throw up, please. Actually, we're not going to throw anything up. But yeah, but barbecue Fritos all over the place. Red Queen is great. Yeah. So I got one more. I don't know. Again, I don't know if you put this one on here, but let's do. What is your favorite scene from the Child's Play franchise? Mine's the reveal with Andy's mom that Chucky's alive. You fucking bitch! That whole scene's amazing. That's never will be beat by anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Child's Play franchise on the other show. So go ahead, Seth. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I love that one as well, and I also love the scene from Child's Play 2 where, how do I put it? Chucky comes out of the closet. No, in the classroom. When he's coming out after the teacher with the yardstick. Yeah. I don't know how you can kill someone with a yardstick, but it's still. I love the way it's shot, and it's just such a really cool scene.
It is. It's kind of an iconic look too. We get Chucky with the with the yardstick. That's a good one. And plus, the view from the window, it goes up and it's good.
For me, I don't know. I mean, I dig the finale of part 2 at the factory. I think that was pretty epic. It's just I kind of dig that. Yeah, and I like when he kills the other Chucky and buries him in the swing set, like on.
That's good too. Yeah. Well, thanks for the spoiler alert. We haven't seen the whole thing. Only Seth has. Yeah. I mean, we're going through the Child's Play movies. We got 2 more left, so that that's why I added that one. I didn't know if it was on your list. I don't even know what's all on your list.
He had like Nightmare,
I just
Chainsaw, and
Ray,
Halloween.
I just sent it to you in the.
I'm okay. Give me a second. I figured it was the bigger franchises. So let's see if we got any more questions here. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. I don't have any plans on watching that show at all, honestly.
But
I was just mostly joking.
That was a cool scene, and I actually one of the positive things that I actually like about the Chucky TV show is how Devin Sawa is in all 3 seasons as a different character. Like
really?
He's killed. He plays twin brothers in the first season. They're both killed off, and then in season 2 he's a priest, and then season 3 he plays the president of the United States. He has yet to be killed off, but it's kind of cool that he keeps coming back.
His hands aren't very idle.
Right. Has he not met his final destination?
Well, I love the fact that he's coming back. His career's coming back.
He's like, doesn't he want to play Freddy? Isn't that the latest hit?
I heard that somewhere. He was somebody that that's a great question too. And I know the answer, but we're gonna do it anyway. But first, we'll do this question. What's your favorite scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise?
That's an easy one for me.
Yeah, for me, it is for sure.
Yeah.
Bubba's got a girl. No, that's not it.
Yeah. It's definitely the first reveal, Leatherface at the door, killing Kurt. That whole sequence of Pam and Kirk at the house.
Yeah, the bone room, that whole everything about that's really good.
Yeah,
I love that scene.
Walk from the swing set after the door slam. I mean, just take those like 2 minutes of screen time of Kurt tripping, boom, boom, and her getting up off and that great shot that even Spielberg was like, "How the fuck did you do that, Danny Pearl?"
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 iconic moments just that have always been imprinted in my brain in that scene. And it's the slam when he hits the guy over the head, slams the door, and then whenever the girl runs out, he grabs her like in midair and pulls her back. I love that scene. Yeah. If I had to pick one that's not that scene, I'd say the dinner scene in the first movie. I love Marilyn Burr. I don't care that she's screaming all the time. I would be too. Fuck. And Grandpa's a one-hitter, all that stuff. The whole movie.
It's all great.
Is great. Yeah.
I mean, I love the scene where after he kills the other kid, like he just starts running to the kitchen to look out the window, like where are they coming from, and just sits there like nervous.
Right.
It's just a beautiful.
Yeah, that's my scene.
Is it?
Okay. I fucked up.
Stole my thunder, Nate.
There's a good one too. Bubba wears the remains of Nubbins. Yeah, I like that too. At the beginning of the movie, part 2.
What was that? The Vietnam soundtrack, or what was it? What is he asked
Well, part 2 is really. It's great, just as great as the first one, in my opinion. There's Bill Mosley's Chop Top is so fucking good in that movie. He steals the whole show.
Yeah, that scene in the radio station with him when she meets him was like,
music is my life.
It's funny, but it's scary. It's tense. You can
and then Carolyn Williams plays it really well.
Yeah, the way Carolyn Williams responds to him adds to the tension in that scene. Yeah, the gun and her suicide, that shot going through her head. Yeah, amazing.
Okay,
right on.
The movie goes from great to the Chop Top shows up. Oh, good to great. Yeah. I couldn't pick a favorite thing. I think the dinner scene was mentioned. Yeah. Then part 2, the radio station. Yeah. There's incoming mail. I love Bill Moseley's voice too. Like, because he's been in so many great roles in
That's
horror.
my fave.
But like, whenever even when he's been playing Chop Top, I still hear Otis, even though I saw Texas Chainsaw before, House of Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Great stuff though, man. I love those movies very much, and it's like it's easy to pick one scene from the first movie because the first movie is so damn iconic, and there's like the whole thing is great, like even down to Franklin going, "Come on, Franklin, let's go," that shit. I hate Franklin, but I love him at the same time.
Nomland.
It's good stuff, man. Plus, it's just. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the best horror movies of all time, plain and simple.
Just that opening shot of the corpses is amazing. One of my favorite moments in the movie that I some people dig it. That I always loved was the old drunk sitting in the tire at the graveyard.
Oh yeah, and he falls over backwards.
And they say it's an old man talking.
Right.
You laugh at an old man. It's him that laughs or better, or knows better. It's just something creepy about it.
What is your favorite John Carpenter movie aside from Halloween and The Thing? Prince of Darkness. I love the Prince of Darkness.
It's tough.
It is tough. There's so many. I mean, he had a lot back to back. You've got Halloween, The Fog, The Thing. What am I missing from early 80s, Seth? In the Mouth of Madness is fucking amazing.
I gotta go with Big Trouble in Little China.
No.
I know you don't like that one.
No, it's your pick, of course.
I used to watch that so much, and I love how it turns I love that Kurt Russell thinks he's John Wayne. But it's actually like he thinks he's the hero, but it's actually his partner who's his sidekick, who's actually the hero of the movie.
In Prince of Darkness as well.
Yeah, I just love that twist, that change of
it's a fun movie. Yeah. I mean, Kurt Russell's amazing as always. I like when you're right. I mean, it's crazy. But I still must die on this hill where it's, if I would have saw it when I was younger, I probably would love it now. You know what I mean? Like,
like Fog. I didn't watch The Fog when I was growing up, but I do really like that movie.
Dude, I love it.
And then Starman was one that's underrated that I think is one of my favorite movies of his.
Vampires. Yeah. What about you, Seth?
Oh well,
Seth's like, well, here we go.
I literally just cracked my knuckles like that.
I knew it.
I keep forgetting.
I know what his favorite is.
I keep forgetting that I don't have my camera on.
I know what his favorite is too, but they don't.
Yeah, I actually have In the Mouth of Madness and The Fog over The Thing and Halloween on my list.
Yes,
The Fog made me a huge Carpenter fan. That's when I was like, okay, I'm all in. And In the Mouth of Madness is just awesome. And I mean, I love his whole filmography, really. But yeah, I think those are two of my favorites. But I love Prince of Darkness as well. As far as Big Trouble in Little China, I think it's a fun movie. And I like to annoy Amber with quoting it all the time. She asks me where something is. I say it's in the mail. She gets really annoyed with me. But
one of my favorite moments in that movie is when they get in the semi and I'm like, well, don't you have another key? Well, of course I have another key, but and he just like holds it up. It's just
great question. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. If you got questions, please drop them in the comments, and we'll try to get to them. I think we have another one. What's your favorite 2000s horror film, not franchise? Are we talking 2000 to 2009 or 2000 to 2024? That's my question. If it's 2000s, just 2000s, Trick or Treat maybe? No.
High Tension for me.
High Tension, yeah. I knew you were going to say High Tension. Because I was thinking that too. High Tension. The High Tension, in my opinion, is the first time you watch it, it's one of those that the replay of value kind of drops every time you watch it, in my opinion. it's shot really well and all that stuff, and there's still a lot of tension. But the first time you watch it, it's like it's one of the biggest what the fucks in the world ever in film history, in my opinion. So I can agree with you on that.
It get like that, and 20 Days Later just kind of recharged my batteries on horror when they.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seth, what about you, man?
Ooh, that's a fucking tough one right there. What is it? 2000, 2009?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. And it can't be a franchise film, right?
Yeah, no franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't say Halloween Resurrection. I know it's on the tip of your tongue. Stop.
I would love to say Halloween Resurrection, especially the opening scene. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I know
it. Jesus Christ! I can't even.
I give you
everything I want to say is after 09.
God, this is a Seth question for sure. You got anything, Seth?
I don't know. I guess I'll just go basic and throw out Dog Soldiers.
Okay. That works.
Yeah, I was thinking of a top 5 because I do really love that decade. And
yeah,
High Tension, 20 Days Later, The Descent, even though it has sequels, it's not really a franchise. Don't you need like 3 movies to be a franchise?
Yeah. Yeah, we decided that, didn't we?
Yeah, and then Let the Right One In. And Inside, maybe.
I still haven't seen that one.
Identity is another good one.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's not considered the Hills Have Eyes remake.
Oh, that's a great movie. Well, Seth, you forgot about Saw. You love the Saw movies. There's like 8 of them in that year. Or in that decade,
it's a franchise now, right?
Oh, right. No, you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wreck, but it's got 4 movies.
Yeah, because like Hostel would be another one I really liked, but that's kind of a franchise. All right, here's a Seth question for everybody. For werewolves, do you prefer bipedal, howling, dog soldiers, quadrupedal, an American Werewolf in London, ginger snaps, or hybrid like the Wolfman? I prefer bipedal.
Yeah, same here. I like the bipedal. I like the standing on 2 legs, but I have the wolf heads, like the long snouts, stuff like that. So like, Howling and Dog Soldiers, those are my favorite kind of werewolves. Like, even though my favorite werewolf movie is a quadrupedal, but
it's for the movie, it's not for the werewolf, to be fair.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too, because I don't know if I told you guys this, but I saw an old interview that Joe Rogan did with Rick Baker, and Rick Baker said that he tried to convince John Landis to do the bipedal, and he just wouldn't go for it.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nate, do you have a favorite?
Mine's exactly what Seth said. My favorite movie is American Werewolf in London, but I like the bipedal. I think the standing up werewolf.
It's scarier to me. I don't know why.
Well, it removes it from just being a giant dog or a giant wolf. It makes it human. So whether it's the Howling, Dog Soldiers type, or the Wolfman, the Lon Chaney thing, I think of a werewolf as being on 2 legs.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What is your favorite Wes Craven film? A Nightmare on Elm Street. I could say,
say other than Nightmare and other than Scream, I guess. Kind of like what Carpenter got. So
that'd be fair. That's a fair question.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Deadly Friend. No. Scream 2. I don't know. I got to be honest, man. As much as I love A Nightmare on Elm Street, like I'm not a huge Wes Craven guy after all. Like People Under the Stairs. I'm gonna say that. That's probably my favorite.
That's probably. Yeah, I have a. It's hard because I like Wes is that. I mean, I like New Nightmare, but I don't want to pick that because it's Freddy.
Right.
But I'm with you. I don't think Wes Craven has the great filmography compared to like his rival. If you want to say it, Serpent and the Rainbow's good, but I don't love it. It's not that I don't like it. It's like I just don't have a thing for it.
We did a show on it.
Same. One of my favorites, if not my favorite, not a good movie, but I like it because it came out when I was becoming a horror fan.
Deadly Friend.
It's Shocker.
Oh yeah, Jared probably say the same thing.
I like Horace Pinker. But People on the Stairs is probably the one I should pick.
Yeah, that's a decent. I'm not a big fan, but I know you guys have an affinity for that one. What about you, Seth?
Well, I'm going to name two here. A more obvious one for me would be Scream 2. I know for some reason that's not a film that's very well loved anymore, but I adore that film as a sequel. And then I'm also going to go with Deadly Blessing, which I think is probably
still haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I think it's one of his most underrated films, or maybe underseen. It's got Cousin Fucker in it, and he, he's actually his character
broke his name.
His character in that film is a guy who's like in an arrangement to get married to like one of his cousins.
So this is where it came from.
Well, but between that and Summer of Fear, where he was at Wes Craven's Summer of Fear, a TV movie he did,
right?
Where Jeff East is in that as well, and throughout the whole the story is like there's like this one family and like they have like this cousin whose parents died and they come to live with them, and like Jeff East's character and even Linda Blair's character, like they keep trying to hook up like Jeff East with her. Like it's weird. So that's why I call him Cousin Fucker, because in the two Wes Craven movies,
and we love it. Okay, I need to watch that one. All right, we're gonna keep moving here. What is your favorite scene from A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise? The entire franchise.
I've said on here many times it's my favorite scene in a horror movie, period, is the Tina in the alleyway and ceiling. And that whole sequence starts with her getting called outside, Nancy, him coming through the wall to Nancy, her going in the alleyway and getting chased to the bedroom and then killed up against the ceiling. Just amazing fucking scene. One of my favorites. My favorite scene in a horror movie. But because that's like when I always talk about, I will throw out Jesse's transformation in part 2.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That is a great one. I was going to pick one from part 2 as well. I'm going to negate part 1 because it's my favorite horror movie altogether. Yeah, exactly. So one of my favorite scenes that always stuck with me, because the first one I ever saw was Freddy's Revenge. And it doesn't get enough credit. It's a good movie. It was a scary movie when I was a kid, and it's still really good. And Mark Patton did a great job. And they showed that they needed Robert Englund to be Freddy. It was his franchise. It wasn't somebody like Jason or Michael Myers where you can just throw somebody in a mask. But Coach Schneider's ass. No, I'm sorry. No, it's the scene where he goes downstairs and Freddy's downstairs in the basement, and he's freaking out, holding the door. Dad calling his dad. He can't get his dad to come upstairs. And then he turns to run away and Freddy's there. Daddy can't help you now. And I got special plans for you and I. And then he pulls his hat off. You've got the body. I've got the brain. One of the best fucking moments for me ever in horror. You've got the body. I've got the brain. Great fucking line.
It's a great one. And it's
no matter what that dude gets credit for making the gayest, whatever, who cares? That is a great fucking moment.
Yeah, like that scene is because 2 was my first 2. So
Right.
that's really the first. If that was your first scene, my first scene, I mean, the first movie, it's like the first scene where you really get to see Freddy and hear him talking, and like because you see the opening scene and all that, but that's really the first scene where you're like, Daddy can't help you now,
Yeah.
and then he does that. You got the body, I got the brain, laughing like, yeah, that was a fucking amazing scene.
Dude, such a great scene. I adore that movie. It got me into horror. That scene scared the shit out of me. And think about that line, that first line, "Daddy can't help you now." I mean, when
Yeah.
you're a kid, who do you run to when you're scared? Your parents. Well, Freddy's here to tell you, nope, that ain't happening for you. So,
Special
yeah,
work
love
to
that
do
scene.
here, you and me. Anything will
so-
include Gulager.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, the bird scene, of course, when he hits his head on the the vent thing, and then Clue Gulliger's good.
It's that cheap seed you've been buying.
That kid needs a goddamn methadone clinic. I love when he calls Jesse Buddy Boy too. Well, no, that's in Return of the Living Dead. Seth, what about you?
All right, so I got sort of like it's hard. There's so many actually great scenes in the whole franchise of Elm Street, but I got like a 3-way here that I'm going to list off. One is, of course, the transformation in part 2 where he
Right.
comes out of Jesse's body. I also love the whole sequence at the end of part 4 where Alice fights Freddy, and then he gets killed and he's like sort of tearing himself apart. And then also I want to shout out New Nightmare, the scene where what's her name? Heather is talking to John outside of the house.
Yeah.
And sort of it transitions to their characters, and her house becomes the Elm Street house.
Yeah, I love that.
The score, like, because
Score.
as that's happening too, Freddy's rising up from the with the sheet. He's rising up from the bed with the sheet.
Oh.
The score, it's like yeah, well, exactly. The New Nightmare score is a hit or miss as is, but in that one moment, it's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of goes from the New Nightmare back to its roots, very seamlessly. It's really good, well done. I agree. A good call, man.
And then go back to that one scene at the transformation that you brought up that I mentioned. I love the transformation, but I also really love the moment after Grady's been killed, and he's looking at Freddy in the mirror at himself. He's got the glove. He's covered in blood, and Freddy's laughing at him. And Mark's performance in that moment, where he's like, "You son of a bitch! You killed him."
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this guy's acting his ass off in this movie, and no one appreciates it other than like real fans of that movie.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up thinking Mark Patton was a huge star, by the way, because of that. Like, I always thought, like, I only saw him the one thing, and I'm like, man, I wish Mark Patton would come back, and I'm glad we were able to have him on the show when we did. The 3 has the best one-liners. 3 is the beginning of the comedy, not 4.
Yeah, you can't talk like "Welcome to Primetime," bitch.
No, not at all. Yeah. There's 3 is really, really good. They're all. I love the first 4. We all do, really.
Yeah.
I love them all, really, but I even love Freddy's Dead. We even got some love for Freddy's Dead. I don't know if you guys saw the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene, when I saw Freddy's Dead, like the whole him pulling out the chalkboard. All that funny. It was great. It was like
it was.
It was a great. I remember loving that scene so much.
Well, my favorite scene from Freddy's Dead is the map says we're fucked.
Yeah. There's a lot good in Freddy's Dead. I don't care what he says. It's a lot of fun.
I just like him talking to the effect Kodo. First, they tried burning
me. Yeah. Then they tried burying me.
And they tried my favorite, holy water.
Yeah.
But I just keep on ticking.
I love that scene. Yeah, there's a lot of fun in that. It's a fun movie. It's not to be too serious here. Okay, we'll roll from that to this question that gets tossed around way too much. Who would you like to take over the role of Freddy Krueger? You cannot say Robert Englund.
Everybody says only Robert. I would say everyone says only Robert can play Freddy, but when you ask them this question, even those people say, "Well, I think I would." Just no one. But everyone has their option.
Hey, that's true. I do like be like me. I'm gonna go with, and I saw this on my Facebook timeline the other day that what's his name? Corey from Halloween Ends. I think he could do it. I can't think of his name. Rowan something or other.
Rohan Campbell.
Okay, I almost said Rowan Atkinson, and that's totally not. Rowan Atkinson could be Freddy. Mr. Bean. How about that? No, I think Rowan Campbell. He's a good actor. He's already got kind of like the face shape down, and I think it'd be fun to see him because he already shows that he can go to dark places. So I think he could do it.
I used to always say Tim Roth, even though he's
about the same age as Robert.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've been saying Tim Roth for about 20 years, just because I thought I always loved Tim Roth, always been one of my favorite actors, but seeing him as Thade in the Planet of the Apes remake, I didn't like that movie, but his performance in that movie is incredible, and I think he would be great as Freddy. And then, like, I think the actor to me that reminds me of Tim and a little bit of Sean Penn of this generation, although they're all short guys. Of course, they're actors, but Ben Foster would have been a fucking great Freddy Krueger, I think.
Ben Foster. Wow. Yeah. Okay, I could see that. He is short too, but yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Wow. Interesting choices.
And I think Doug Jones would have made an interesting Freddy. Seeing him in John Dies at the End in that brief. Seeing that, I was like, I think he would really relish playing for Freddy.
Seth, what do you got?
Actually, I missed Nate's picks. My computer froze up.
I said Tim Roth, Ben Foster, and Doug Jones. I think that's people I threw out. Kevin Roach.
Yeah, I could actually totally see Ben Foster playing the role. Like, Ben Foster's awesome.
How old was Robert Englund when he started the role? Was he like 30?
Yeah, I would say
30, 33, 34, like that.
Go ahead, Seth.
No, I'm pretty much done with it. I would say definitely Ben Foster for sure. Zach Ward, maybe.
That's an oldie.
Yeah,
he was great in Freddy versus Jason.
He actually did pretty. He did when he did his little like Freddy impersonation in Freddy vs. Jason. I thought he was pretty good in the way he animated himself while speaking as Freddy.
Scott Farkas.
Yep, and then he was also in what was that film? The Ubal film, Postal, which is fucking hilarious.
I've never seen that.
I used to love Titus when he played Christopher Titus's brother. You ever watch that show?
I remember that show.
That was great. Dave!
Next question. Favorite horror TV series, favorite Stephen King adaptation. Okay, that's 2 questions. Let me fix that.
Favorite TV series.
Let's do favorite TV series.
The Last of Us, maybe. I don't know. It's too early for that. I know people hate it, but I really like The Walking Dead. I
don't think people hate it. I think it just got old after
a while. Oversaturated, yeah. But I really still loved it, and it may be my favorite. And I love The Last of Us, my favorite video games, and the show's good. I don't know. I guess Walking Dead. I like Supernatural. I know that's probably sis. I'm sorry.
That would be Seth's answer. That's his line.
Go, Seth.
Well, yeah, before Nate spoiled it, I was going to say Supernatural, but also Tales from the Crypt. I'm a huge fan of
Great
Tales from the
call.
Crypt. Like, I grew up with that show. I grew up with the EC comics, so particularly the Vault of Horror, which is one of my favorite comics ever. Yeah, so Tales from the Crypt and definitely Supernatural. At least the first 5 seasons of Supernatural, I think, are outstanding. After that, it's up to you, hit or miss. But I love the whole series. But the first 5 seasons are amazing.
I'd have to go with Twilight Zone if I went with an anthology. I think.
Yeah. Well, Tales from the Crypt is probably, if I go with anthology, for me, I would probably go with. It's kind of an anthology too. Actually, there's a couple of things. Channel Zero is underrated. That was on Sci-Fi, I think, and it's available on Shudder now. There are 4 different seasons, and they're all wildly different. I thought they were really good. All different, just wild shows. But I'm a big fan, and maybe people won't like this, but I'm a big fan of American Horror Story. Not all of them are great, but like there's some really good stuff in there, and I've enjoyed almost every season. I didn't like season 4, the Freak Show season, and I didn't care for the latest before this last season, NYC or whatever it was. I have not seen the newest yet, but I've always liked American Horror Story. So, and it's got horror in the title.
I saw the first season and I actually really enjoyed it.
For Freddy, yeah. The newest one with Kim Kardashian.
Why do we all keep thinking of short people for Freddy?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But because I don't know, they're creepy, I guess.
They could shoot it like Robert Downey Jr. looked like he was tall and as Iron Man. So, Tales from the Dark Side's good.
Another one I'd like to shout out to is the British Being Human. I think that's a really good show. And they're very short seasons, anywhere between 5 to 7 episodes per season for 5 seasons, and has that unfortunate thing where cast members having to leave. One particular because he got cast in The Hobbit, so his character had to get killed off. But Being Human, I think, is actually a really good show. The British.
Oh, was it the Hot Hobbit or the Hot Dwarf? Aiden something or other.
Aiden Turner, yeah.
Yeah, Aiden Turner. Yeah, should have stayed in that show.
Yep. I agree.
The Hobbit movies aren't great. All right, here's a good one. This is going to be easy. Favorite scene from the entire Hellraiser franchise? Mine is Frank's resurrection, period.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. I mean, the first movie has a lot of good ones. So does the second movie, but Frank's resurrection, the introduction of all the Cenobites in the third movie.
No.
JD's sex scenes in part 3. No.
I was getting winded just watching them. Put out the cigarette. I would have to go with, Frank's resurrection is awesome. But honestly, I love the whole thing where Julia helps him out for the very first time. And she's kind of horrified by what's happening. And so, she's covered in blood and she goes in the bathroom and she looks at herself in the mirror. For some reason, that scene really stood out to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one. That's probably my favorite. One that keeps. Again, I don't know Hellraiser as well. I mean, I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times, but it's not one ingrained on me. One that keeps popping in my head with the question was that one where it's where Kirsty's there's feathers floating around, and there's a bed sheet and a baby crying.
Yeah. That's the first one.
And the blood coming. Yeah, I remember that the whole dream sequence. And was it the first one too, where the women under the sheets come out taunting Frank?
No, that was the second one.
That's the second one. I thought that was fucking cool, creepy.
Well, not the, what about the guy on the bed in the second movie?
Yeah, I couldn't watch him.
Yeah, that was a good scene though.
Yeah, that was a good scene, but
sure.
I think the Julie, her looking at herself in the mirror is a really fantastic moment. That whole first movie is just stunning.
Top notch, man.
I'm glad y'all got me to go back and watch it because it's like raised up into my favorites. But again, I don't have time to rewatch movies anymore, so I haven't rewatched it a bunch. But if I had the time, I would.
We're dissecting Deader tomorrow. Are you ready? Hellraiser Deader? No, I'm joking. The movie's not great, not good even.
Hey, I like Deader.
The engineer, yeah, the flying down the hallway. It looks like it's got a scorpion tail or something like that.
And Pinhead has
like the one scene I
beautiful lines.
Pinhead has a lot. I mean, if we went with lines, I mean, Pinhead has a lot of standout lines in all the movies, and even the first one when he's talking to Kirsty, that's just a great scene in itself. And I like that she's scared but able to stand toe to toe with as Seth would say, the Hell Priest. It's a good stuff. Hellraiser is a great movie.
Will tear your soul apart. That's such a crazy line, and just like your suffering will be legendary even in hell. I mean, it's really fucking stunning. But I remember one that always stood out, and I don't. Which was it? The third movie or Pinhead said, "Do I look like someone who gives a damn what God thinks?" or something like that.
Yeah,
it's the third one.
Yeah,
right before he does the pins in the hand, right? And that's another good one. I am the way. I love that scene. Yeah, it's a good one. All right, now let's do the Stephen King's favorite Stephen King adaptation.
The Shining. Even though it's not really a Stephen King adaptation, really very faithfully. And miniseries, the JFK one.
11/22. Yeah, that's good.
63. Yeah.
That's based on my favorite book from him.
Really?
Oh, hands. If like 11/22/63 is like one of those rare books where I got totally sucked in. Like I got pulled into that world. Like it gets a little slow in the middle, but what a fucking amazing book, man.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So,
what are your thoughts on the adaptation? Is it pretty good compared to the book, or?
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
I like the show was great.
Yeah, they make changes for the show, and some of it's pretty reasonable. Like, in the book he's on his own for most of it, right? And eventually he meets Sadie, whatever. But in the TV show, they have a character who he runs into early on who kind of tags along with him, just so it's sort of like kind of like
you can't talk inner monologue stuff. You have to have somebody to talk to.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's that. So I think
Robin exists.
Yeah, so like the TV version is perfectly fine, but it's just like I would highly recommend anyone to read the book. Absolutely, because I mean, there's one particular scene in the book where he tries to save someone. He tries to save a family in Derry, and it's a very horrifying sequence. If you've seen the show, it's the whole thing with the janitor and his family from the father, but the way it's described in the book is just so terrifying, and it's actually cool that it's set in Derry in that scene. But I just love everything about it, like the whole the obstacles he has to go through. They're much more extreme in the book than in the show. Show's good. I don't want to go on a tangent here. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right though. I don't go for a tangent because it deserves it. I think that is probably his most underrated work because no one really talks about it. And I saw the show first, and I was left in tears from the show. I just fucking loved every moment. I could have watched another 10 hours of it. I just really loved it. And then I read the book and I was like, yeah, it's just as fucking good. I was excited because I kind of felt like Steve, my my journey with Stephen King was over because it was very much important to me in high school and college, but I kind of stopped reading him, and he kind of went away a little bit as far as the film world. But when I saw that, I was like, wow. And then I read the book. I'm like, book's just as good, if not better. So it's yeah.
I think it's time for a rewatch of 11/22/63. My favorite adaptation was 1989's Pet Sematary. I love that movie. I love The Shining. Don't get me wrong, but it's more Stanley Kubrick's piece than Stephen King's adaptation, in my opinion.
I kind of want to go ahead.
No, I was gonna say where Pet Sematary is. I mean, Stephen King, he's all over that movie. So
yeah, I mean, Pet Sematary is the second one that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think, wait a minute, I really, really love. I think maybe the best adaptation is Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie's a great.
Not even think about Carrie. Yeah, Carrie's damn good. Carrie, like the whole atmosphere in that movie. Even there's the silly scene where they're having, where she's trying to make up, getting ready for the prom, and the guys are putting their tuxes on. But there's something about this dread throughout the entire movie that begins in that locker room. There's just a sense of dread throughout this entire film too. I love Carrie. It's a good one. We've talked about Carrie, haven't we? We did. We had to have.
I think so, because I think I read the book right before we discussed it. I want to say I could be wrong on that.
I want to say. All right.
But like,
yeah,
one of my, as far as my favorite Stephen King adaptation, I got a couple, but I'll stick to one. Not a very popular one, but Needful Things.
I was going to say, don't you dare say Christine, because it's a John Carpenter film. That's a cop out. But yeah, Needful Things. Okay.
Needful Things is it's another one of my favorite Stephen King books. It used to be like the last Castle Rock story. It was the culmination of everything from, Cujo, Dead Zone, Shawshank Redemption. I
love that movie.
The Dark Half, and a couple of others. Like, so Needful Things was like the final. It was at the time the final chapter. He's gone back and he's done a couple newer Castle Rock stories since then. But it's just so chaotic and it's just so great because it's like, yeah, this one guy, this evil presence who he manipulates people, he crosses their wires and he turns people against each other. And you also have Ace Merrill in it, the character that Kiefer Sutherland played in Stand By Me. He becomes Leland Gaunt's like right-hand man. Now, as far as like the movie adaptation of Needful Things, naturally they couldn't get everything into it. I mean, even with it being a 2-hour long film, I even actually have a German Blu-ray release that has like the 3-hour TV cut. Naturally, you can't get everything from the book in there because the book is massive. But I think what they do well is they capture the essence of the story and the sort of like the tone of the story. So it's not completely faithful, but I think it gets the point of everything across very well, despite leaving stuff out of it. So Needful Things, I think, is really good. Ed Harris plays the main cop, Ellen Pangborn, who was previously played by Michael Rooker in The Dark Half. And like they kind of like leave out like his backstory, but it makes sense for the sake of the story that they're telling. They're not trying to, book wise, it's the last Castle Rock story, Needful Things. They're trying to position themselves as just a sort of like a standalone film. But I don't know. I'm just rambling here. You get the point.
You really like that movie.
I do.
I've still never seen it. Pangborn, isn't in the show Castle Rock too?
Yeah.
That name's not one you hear every day. In the first season, maybe. I'm trying to think.
Yes, he was played by Scott Glenn in the first season.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty cool show.
Yeah. So basically, in the book series, like there's Sheriff Bannerman from Castle Rock, who appeared in the Dead Zone, and Johnny Smith helped him solve a murder in Castle Rock. And then Sheriff Bannerman also appeared in Cujo, and he gets killed by the dog, and so his replacement is Alan Pangborn. And so there's like that sort of like through line with the Castle Rock stuff.
Nerd. So
basically,
yeah, that's all good. 3 more questions, if you guys are cool with it.
Okay.
What is your favorite George Romero film? I know that I know what Seth says. Mine's
How about other than a zombie movie?
Yes, please.
I don't have one. I guess because Crazies counts, right?
It's not a zombie movie, really.
Crazies is not a zombie film.
I know it's not, but people throw it in there. I don't have one. I like.
Well,
Crazies.
it's a zombie film because of people think it's a zombie film because I think the remake made it more of a zombie film.
That makes sense. I don't know. I Martin's okay. Creep Show, yeah, there you go. That's got zombies in it too. I don't know. I didn't think Martin was the greatest thing ever, and I don't think Crazies is. I don't have one. There you go. Night Riders.
I love Night Riders.
Fun.
You guys go.
I'll go, I guess. I really like the amusement park. I'm gonna go with that one.
That's a good one. I'm gonna pull a two-way thing here with the Crazies and Martin. The Crazies is one of my favorite films of all time. Like there's something about the Crazies that just always captivated me, and particularly with George Romero and his storytelling. And he knows how to end films on such a tragic way. And I think the Crazies ends on a very tragic moment, to be honest with you. And then Martin as well. Martin is, I think, one of the most unique vampire films ever, with an insane ending, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I watched Martin last year. Did we do a show on Martin, or we were going to? One of the two, I don't remember.
I think we were going to. We did.
It was good, but it's not one that resonates with me. Neither is the Crazies, and Crazies is because I don't see it very often. Probably both of them. Nothing against either one of them, really. It's just they weren't really my cup of tea when it comes to Romero movies, I guess. I love Dawn of the Dead, though. What the fuck is that?
It's just a poltergeist, bro.
No, my kids are out there doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Nate, what did you say? The amusement park?
Amusement park. I was going to say that or Martin.
Yeah, the amusement park is. I think it's still on Shudder. If you haven't seen it, Martin was actually on Tubi, I think, when I saw it, and so was Season of the Witch. I watched that. Was a weird ass movie. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, I ended up watching all of his movies when we did the show on him. I had never seen that or Always Vanilla, and I even watched that really bad Pittsburgh Steelers. It wasn't Steelers. It was like a beer commercial. Thing.
We got a squirt.
Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about that when we did our show on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on out there. All right, and don't forget, if you're watching this video, please hit the like button. It spreads us out even further, and we're closing in on 1,700 YouTube subscribers, whatever. I'd like to get to 2,000 by the end of the year. I think we will, pretty easily. All right, the penultimate question: what is your favorite scene from the Halloween franchise?
Elrod scene
from Halloween 2. That was easy.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene. Just that whole he is believed to be at large in Haddonfield stepping out of the kitchen. It's creepy, and just the homage to it in Halloween 2018 was great. I was like, oh, they're homaging the Elrod scene. This is awesome. But to me, that's the essence of Michael, just roaming around suburbia at night, randomly killing people, going house to house.
The Loomis scene from Halloween 4. Loomis no scene. When Jamie reveals herself to have stabbed her stepmother, that's a good scene.
That's a great ending.
Yeah,
great ending.
Not his best.
I love this scene with Reverend Sayer in Part 4.
Yeah,
my favorite Loomis scene.
My favorite Loomis scene is when he dives over the barrels when the when the gas station blows up.
That's one of my favorite lines, and that dialogue of Sayer. You can't kill damnation, mister. Don't die like a man dies. I just love that.
That's a great scene. That is a great scene. Seth, you have one in mind, or are you still pondering?
I do, and I'm not trolling when I say this, okay?
You'll Dies Tonight.
But for some reason, this scene always stands out to me, and it's always a favorite scene of mine. And that is, shit, Earl. That's Ted Hollister. You dumb son of a bitch. You said you saw Myers. I don't know. I just love that part from Part 4. It's my favorite.
That's so weird. Like, that's a good scene. I'm like, I did not expect that from you. I honestly thought it would be from the John Carpenter's movie, the first movie.
Well, if I had to pick one from John Carpenter's movie, it would probably be the ending with Loomis kind of looking out over the balcony, seeing Myers is gone, and then there's like the sort of like the montage of all the places he's been. Because I love the implication of it. You know, it's like Loomis was right the entire time. Myers is pure evil, and he's out there, and you don't know where. Just like just imagine if Halloween wasn't a franchise and it was just a singular film, and that's the way it ends. You know, it's a very powerful, I think, moment.
We're going to take a part 2 of this question in a second, because I'm going to say, I think it's hard to say for me because there's a lot to go over. It's 13 movies now, and like Halloween 3 has a lot of cool moments in it. The end of Halloween 3 is amazing, and so I was going to say let's make Halloween 3 separate, and let's say what is your favorite moment from Halloween 3, because there's a lot of great moments in that as well. Like when Colin Cochran's talking to our dear fair Tom Atkins and we put the mask on him. But for Halloween, honestly, it's an extension of the end of the first movie into the second movie, when Loomis is. It's basically the end of the first movie into the second movie, when he goes downstairs and sees that giant stain on the ground, and the neighbor comes out. One of my favorite lines, again, in probably horror history, is whenever the neighbor comes out and he's like, "I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight," and Loomis just says, "You don't know what death is."
I don't know what death is.
Music. I love that scene.
Yeah, I'll say the other, like, not trolling moment, like, but I genuinely love this moment, and it's just a moment in Halloween Ends where Corey picks up Allison on the motorcycle and they're riding and they're playing a Johnny Goth song. I can't remember the name song.
Johnny Goth. He got ripped and took a walk off a roof. No.
It's such a good, I don't know. It reminds me of Drive or something. It's like this kind of, I don't know. It's like, to me, it seemed like the essence of what he was trying to, he wanted to make a movie about a bad boy on a motorcycle and a love story. That scene. And it's the scene where the cop follows him and he leads him to the overpass.
Thanks for that, Seth.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. What about Halloween 3? Is there a favorite scene from that one, since it's not part of the Myers saga? The saga?
I love the scene where the android kills the guy in the hospital bed and he goes outside and lights himself on fire.
That's a great scene. It is, yeah.
But also, I think one of my favorite line is like when, where do you want to sleep?
Yeah.
That's a dumb question.
That's a dumb question. Yeah, 100%. Great movie. Seth, you got one from Halloween 3?
Oh, totally. The ending. Tom Atkins screaming into the phone for them to stop the channel. Like I love that ending, and I love the way it ends. So yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was laughing at Sean. Never watch that Looney Tunes again. Oh, you don't have to. All right. Final question for the night. Unless anybody has any other questions for us tonight, we'll end on this question. Why is Midsummer just the Wicker Man? Thank you, Seth, for posing this question. Of course,
I wanted to include a joke at the end of my long list. So, and since it was on Nate's Facebook page, I just figured that'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? I have to say I love Midsummer, and I've grown to love Wicker Man, and I don't see any resemblance to either. I guess the pagan aspect of it, but the Wicker Man is its own movie, and so is Midsummer, and they're both very different.
They're vaguely similar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, Nate did this entire video on our YouTube channel. The Wicker Man, or Midsummer is not the Wicker Man, a couple of years ago. It's a great piece that he did for us a couple years ago. Check it out.
Well, yeah, my thing is okay, we see. If you're going to hold Midsummer to that, then you got to hold Friday the 13th to just being Halloween knockoff, because it's the same thing.
1973. Sorry.
And, the Wicker Man, is there's two. The main characters are two different characters with totally different reasons to be there, other than, like you said, the pagan ritual and the sacrifice stuff. That's the only link it has. And the thing is, I think this project was brought to Ari Aster, and he wrote it. It wasn't something he decided to do himself. It's not like he was watching The Wicker Man and decided to knock it off, or rip it off.
Yeah.
But one story, you've got a cop, virgin cop, Christian cop who's come to this island to investigate a missing persons case, and in the other, you've got a girl whose family, she just lost her family, everyone, her mom, her dad, her sister, to mental illness, suicide, murder, and she's already dealing with her own mental illness, and she needs to escape, and the only person in the world that's in her life is her boyfriend, who doesn't want to be in her life anymore, but is too scared to break off with her. And she goes and she finds a new family, and it's and these people who are embracing her, and it's cult. It's a cult movie, and it's a movie about grief and about mourning and about mental illness, and the Wicker Man is none of that, other than the sacrifice and the luring.
Well, the Wicker Man's a mystery.
Yeah, it's a murder mystery.
The murder mystery. He's enthralled in this mystery of the missing girl, Rowan, I think is her name, right? And he meets all these odd people who believe he's a Christian, they're pagan, and he's very dismissive of their religion, if you will, and
And he comes in there with this authority attitude,
cop,
you're wrong, and I'm here to do this. And Danny comes to there, as a victim, and as someone who is embraced instead of victimized or manipulated. I mean, she's manipulated, but that's what these people really feel, and I don't know. I just don't think the two movies. I just think it's unfair to say that about a movie and dismiss it when we watch movies that are derivative all the time. Somebody said Terrifier 3. You gonna tell me Terrifier is original? No, none of them have been original. It's just I brought up. It's what was the movie I said it is? It's another Halloween movie. Devil's Little Helper.
Yeah, Devil's Little Helper.
Satan's Little Helper.
Yeah,
Satan's Little Helper. But it's all a slasher film. So it's like, when people sit there and say, well, this, like, you take a movie that's broad, but it has these little similar things. They say, well, that's just this. But it's like, but how many slasher movies were spawned after Halloween that are just Halloween with a
In
different holiday?
1981 alone.
In 1981 alone, like,
Yeah.
it's like, and not just that, any monster movie, they made 1,000 monster movies that were the same thing. And
Yeah.
past the horror genre, how many revenge movies? How many times? Oh, this guy's a retired military specialist or assassin, and he's living a quiet life, and now someone's pulled him back into it, and he's going to get revenge on everybody, or somebody kidnapped the kid.
I've seen that movie.
Yeah, we've seen it 1,000 times. And it's like, so like Pulp Fiction, Quentin took 3 basic pulp plots. I mean, the boxer who doesn't throw the fight,
right?
The gangster who takes the boss's wife out, and these were classic pulp scenarios that he took and wrote them through his filter, through his mind, through his creation, and writing and filmmaking is full of that. Almost everything we see, it's been done. It's just another play on a different. There was somebody said there's only 3 stories, really, that have been told. They've just been told differently.
Mm-hmm.
So when people just write off something as broad as Midsummer versus Wicker Man is, it's like, well, you're just saying because they're both pagan ritual. Like, if you're going to make a movie about pagan ritual, I mean, they did that, right? It's part of the history. Esther was pulling off of actual facts and ceremonies and practices and things, just as Robin Hardy was. So I get that burns me when people just dismiss something like that. Like, even like the Hunger Games, everyone, oh, it's just battle royale. I'm not a big Hunger Games fan, but it's not battle royale. It's similar, but there were stories that were like it before battle royale. Battle royale has elements in it that I've seen before, like Wedlock and Stephen King's the book, what's it, The Long Walk, and things. I mean, there's been movies that the Scarlet Letter, or not the Scarlet Letter, the Lottery, Shirley Jackson's thing, is very much like the Hunger Games. So it all comes from something, nothing fucking original. So when people say, well, they should do something original, it's like, it's easier said than done.
I mean, you got tens of thousands of movies that are, and not even just that, books, comics, all that stuff has been around. I mean, there's so much. It's hard to have an original idea anymore, and and people bitch about it. Well, you do something original then. I'm not gonna say that because that's a cop out.
And the thing is, it's like sometimes it's not even intended. Like, I've had writers talk to me about, oh, I'm working on this project, and because I've seen so much shit, they'll say, oh, there's someone we all know that's like really talented, really creative, and he was telling me about this project he had, and he was really excited about it. And I was like, oh, there was a movie that came out. I said this thing, it was the same plot, and he'd never seen it, heard of it. I thought, it's all been done.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. But you go with it because it's you're telling it from your perspective. He never saw it. It's not influenced by it. But this shit just works because we, especially in the horror genre, we've all seen the same movies.
Yeah. I wonder if there's been a movie made just like Madam Web.
No, that one's
it's called Final Destination.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Madam Web, but I've heard that people hate it. Nick Cage's Wicker Man stands on its own.
The Beast.
I've never seen it. I don't plan on seeing it. It took me a long time to see The Wicker Man. So, but Seth, is there anything you want to say on this topic before we close up shop for the night? Okay, I guess not. I don't know if he froze or if he has nothing to say.
Sound like Batman was hanging upside down.
Yeah.
Sleeping.
Oh, by the way, it's been a while. Haven't seen these guys in a while. So next episode of Horror Movie Massacre on Wednesday, we are discussing finally the Cult of Chucky. So if you've been following that show, we are wrapping up our Child's Play Chucky franchise. We've got that, the episode of the remake, and a ranking episode to follow. So check that out. Next week, potentially, we could either be doing another movie or Seth's movies that made him. It depends on his week, how it goes. Actually, Wednesday's show might be up in the air as well. I'm not sure yet. If not, we'll Nate and I will pull something out of our ass. Not literally, that wouldn't be fun. But maybe we'll do something Peter Cushing, I haven't got rid of that one either. Anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight and dropping a few questions in there and answering some of the questions. I hope that you had a good time. I did. I hope you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions were provided by Seth and his karate chop action. I don't remember what was happening. I know your computer was freezing, and I got you right at the right moment where it looked like you were karate chopping. They were karateing the fences.
Well, it's because I was like, when I speak, I'm kind of animated with like my like even right now you can't see if my camera's off, but like my hands are moving as I'm talking. But like I had like one of those glitches where I just completely froze, and I look at that image and I hear drama ramas, anything.
Okay, fair enough. Kathy, good night. She's been around for a while, following us, by the way. Kathy Lafayette, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nate, do you have anything to say before we wrap up for the evening?
No, I'm tired as fuck.
Sound like it. Luckily, tomorrow is President's Day. I have the day off. Thanks for the banking hours.
I don't.
Yeah,
I was telling my daughter, this is funny. I said, this is how movies. This is an argument for movies are educational. When it was February 12th the other day, I said, "Oh, February 12th," and I told Lily, "That's Lincoln's birthday," and she goes, "How do you know that?" I was like, "Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure." It's in my head when they're being interrogated at the police office, and the guy's like, "What's your birthday?" He goes, "February 12th, 1809." They're like, I know the date, I know the year because of Bill and Ted.
Because of movies, I mean, you could learn from movies. There's not a lot of factual stuff, but there are things in there. That's funny. Lincoln with us. I know how to spell Lincoln.
I spell Lincoln. That's Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I spell Lincoln.
Oh,
Let's
man.
talk about Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I love those movies. I could talk about Bill and Ted. I didn't care about the third one or care for the third one as much.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I do too. I blind bought that one during the pandemic because I just needed some more Bill and Ted in my life because I had watched The Bogus Journey and Excellent Adventure. And I still love Bogus Journey too, but nothing holds up to the original in my opinion.
No, if it wasn't for death.
Yeah, yeah.
Although the Bogus Journey, my favorite. Oh,
I didn't know that.
My favorite part of that is when the military guy is like circling him, like, "You guys aren't men, you're silky boys. Silk comes from the butts of Chinese worms." I can't do infinity push-ups.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to run through the trilogy again. I'm watching the X-Men movies with Reynolds. He's never seen them all right now, and then maybe we'll have to, because I know my kids have seen the first Bill and Ted for sure. That's one of the things about being a father who grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm trying to instill all these great movies from when I was growing up, or when we grew up, on my kids as well. Like Helena loves a good John Hughes movie, so they may be dated, but I still love them.
I love the 80s films, and I love finding one. It's like, I haven't seen every movie from the 80s.
Right.
Because there's a lot more than people realize.
Yeah.
I've seen most. Well, I've seen a huge majority of them. So, but I'm always like searching like Tubi or Prime because there's always like, I mean, usually they suck. That's why I haven't seen them. I watch them. They're like, oh, this is bad. But you'll pop up and go, well, what's this movie with C. Thomas Howell? What is that?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Go, what's this movie with John Cryer? I never, and so you watch it and you're like, oh, that's why I haven't heard of it. Okay. But
Yeah.
I'm still always like, there's got to be some gems that I haven't seen.
Oh, I'm sure there are, because I mean, I'm still stumbling on it, mostly over horror, but there are also those that I've not seen since the '80s that I'll stumble across. There was one from, I think it was from the early '90s, and it was had Brian Austin Green in it and some blonde guy who moved from like Minnesota to the beach with his aunt because his parents were divorcing or something like that. And he was a hockey guy. He learned how to surf and not one crazy summer. What was it called? An All-American Summer, maybe. And I saw it on Amazon one day. I was like, wow, this movie is not as good as I remember. Because I saw it when I was like 10 or 11.
North Shore.
But then there's also like the Patrick Dempsey movie, Loverboy. I've not seen that since.
I haven't seen it forever,
dude. It's because there's no release for it. It's not streaming anywhere. I would die to see
anchovies.
Yeah, extra anchovies. Yeah, I love that movie.
He did another one that popped up a while back. I was like, I totally forgot about that movie. I always liked one that was underrated with him that a lot of people don't talk about. I think a famous person directed it, like an actor or something. It's called Coupe de Ville. Did you ever see Coupe de Ville?
I've never seen that one.
It's set in the 60s or early 70s. Alan Arkin is dying, and he has 3 sons who don't really hang out with each other. They don't really know each other. So his dying wish is that he wants to get them to bond, to come back together. So he has a Coupe de Ville that he once brought home. And so he gets it where the brothers have to drive the Coupe de Ville together across states to get it home. And the brothers are Daniel Stern's the oldest. He's the military one, the oldest. And the middle one is Ira Gross from like House 2. And he's kind of the bookwormy, I guess, kind of the middle kid. And then Patrick Dempsey is the young, rebellious greaser.
I could see those 3 being brothers for sure.
Yeah, and like, of course, he doesn't get along with Daniel Stern because Daniel Stern's character is the militant, by the book guy. He's the young rebel. And I remember really liking that movie. Yeah, there's so many, that pop up where like I forgot about. Like we watched, they call it the Boyfriend Project now, or the Boyfriend thing, but I remember it as Don't Tell Her It's Me. It's a Steve Guttenberg, Shelley Long.
Oh yeah,
Amy Dirks movie.
Yeah, he's Lobo. He walks alone.
Yeah, Lobo.
Yeah,
I remember watching. Like I totally forgot about this movie.
I saw it on TV one night. Yeah, it's so corny too. Like that was another one I used to watch quite a bit. Yeah, Coupe de Ville is not streaming.
And then you talked about the beach thing. Made me think of Side Out with C. Thomas Howell.
No, that's another good one. Yeah, him and the
volleyball
guy,
movie. Peter Horton.
The guy with the long hair from 30 something. What's his name?
Is it Peter Horton?
Peter Horton.
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, that's him, isn't it? Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on 30 something as well.
How about this one? Disorderlies with the Fat Boys. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
That's another one of those that I've not seen in decades, and I loved it. It's probably terrible. I'm sure it
probably is bad.
Yeah, because like you see some of these movies that you watch when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that movie was so good. And you're like, what the fuck? Oh, I will say there's one movie with Kevin Bacon, Sean Astin, and somebody else is in it. River Wild, I think is what it's called.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where
I used to always get that one mixed up with the Meryl Streep one.
Is there Meryl? I think I may have the title wrong.
Well, was that one? There was that one, and then there was like the Meryl Streep one, and then there's that one that Don Coscarelli made with Lance Henriksen. It's like those people in a wilderness kind of thing, or like a outing.
The Coscarelli one is called Survival Quest.
Yeah.
That's gonna be on my list of movies that made me.
But there's one with Meryl Streep where she's like on a boat raft and like it's been a while since I've seen it.
The Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon, I think. The River Wild.
Is that the one with Sean Astin?
That's the one. That's the River Wild.
Okay.
The one I'm thinking, I got to look it up because I can't remember the title. But I showed it to my kids last summer or 2 summers ago, and they loved it. It's Kevin Bacon is a guy who gets these like bookworm nerdy kids out, and they take them out to he takes them out to the wilderness, and to kind of give them like a taste of the outdoors because their parents think they need it, you know. And
I kind of
Sean
want to do
Astin,
this. I kind of want to do that show now, like go through the years, like come up with these movies like that. Like, I remember
yeah,
that
because
movie.
that would be a lot of fun. It would be a ton of fun. But he plays a character called Vic, and God, I gotta find. Anyway, I showed it to my kids, and Whitewater Summer. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, check if you have not seen that one. It still holds up to this day. It's really good. I think it came out in like 1987, 88. But it's like 4 or 5 guys go out into the woods, get lost. They go on a hike. There's this bridge that Sean Astin has, and he's narrating everything as an older version of himself. And it's in Central Park. It's really cool. Absolutely recommend. It's called Whitewater Summer.
You
I always
seen
get the title confused with what
remember the Tom Holland movie?
Spider-Man?
No, the other Tom Holland. Cloak and Dagger.
I've never seen that. I've always wanted to see
man,
that one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Is that who's in that?
It's Henry Thomas and Dabney Coleman.
Dabney Coleman, yeah. I've always liked Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
Man.
And Henry Thomas also did that one. It was The Quest, where like it's like like he's going looking for this monster, like a swamp monster thing or something. It was an interesting movie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Came out probably 84, 85, something like that.
See, there's a lot of movies. It makes me want to go through and try to find some of these that I haven't seen. And
I was at that right age, and I had cable and, of course, the VHS era. So I did see a lot of them, just all kinds, just like Kid Code, Savannah Smiles, and
the Peanut Butter Solution.
Peanut Butter Solution. Yeah. That would be a fun episode, even though it's not horror. But like, there's so many of those little movies from the 80s and the 90s. And so in the 90s, I watched a lot of stuff too. But there's what I like is like, I talked to a guy who's 10 years younger than me, and he had all these obscure 90s movies that I did see but didn't mean nothing to me, but were like, for him, what Kidco or Just One of the Guys was for me.
I love Just One of the Guys. Where do you get off having tits? One of the best lines in cinema.
That's what I think they are. All balls itch. It's a fact.
All balls itch. What if my balls don't itch?
Well, maybe my balls don't itch.
Oh man, that's the thing. I have yet to show that one to my kids yet. It's a little racy. But I watched it at 6 or 7 years old, so it's probably.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. Whatever happened to that? Joyce?
It doesn't have that much. Joyce Heiser.
Yeah.
There really isn't much in it that's too extreme until she pulls her tits out.
Right. Thanks, Seth.
Get to the movie.
We did a commentary on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Master a couple of days ago, or 2 weeks ago maybe, or was it last week?
Yeah.
Last week. And there was a YouTube comment from after the show that said exactly this. Jesus, get to the movie. Y'all been yapping for 30 minutes. I still don't know if they were thinking we were going to show the movie or what, but hopefully they watched along. Jesus. Thanks, Seth. Anyway, yeah, let's wrap this up because we could go on for hours talking about these old movies for sure. We'll figure out something for next week if Seth can't do the show again. We'll pick a movie and just go with that or something if you want, Nate. Let's have a backup plan just in case that we can't do Seth's movies that made him.
I should be good for next week.
Okay. Well, I don't want to say what's going on, but I didn't know if there was anything, the stuff that happens after the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, of course, we accommodate you, whatever you need, of course. This was a fun show, guys. I always enjoy talking to you as usual. I always enjoy interacting with our followers, especially when we have people constantly watching and yapping at us. So that's always good. But that's it for the night. Wednesday, Cult of Chucky. seems like we've been doing these for fucking ever. Also, I just gotta say. And then we will be back on Sunday night with a fresh episode of a Horror Syndicate Discourse, which means conversation, basically, right? So we're gonna talk to you then. Everybody have a great night. We will see you next. Well, Seth and I will see you on Wednesday. We'll see you next Sunday. Have a great one.
Love listening.
We have such sights to show you.
Hell yeah.